So this is the Garmin Forerunner 970. Its release date was May of 2025. I purchased it with my own money in August of 2025, so I've had it over a year. So these are my own opinions and thoughts. Um, they're not facts, they're my own opinions and thoughts on the Garmin Forerunner 970. So this 970, I've been using Garmin watches since 2015, all right? And I have to say, this is the most powerful, lightest, and most comfortable Garmin watch I've ever had. Um, Everything on it works exactly the way I want it to work, except for one feature, which I'm not happy with, and I'll explain that after I tell you why I think it's worth the money. All right. In comparison to the Garmin 570 Forerunner, which is the lower tier of this one, that one, in my opinion, is not worth the money. First of all, it comes with Gorilla Glass instead of the sapphire glass that's on the top. And Gorilla Glass, I've had it before. It does scratch and it will crack. So this one is more durable. People have been using it for years without hardly any issues. So I would say just that alone, based on what they're charging for the 570, I say if you're thinking about the 570, don't even think about it. Get the 970. Plus, it has maps, and we'll get into that in a little while also. Comparing it to the Fenix 8. Now, speaking on that, today's August 25th, 2026. They just announced the Fenix 9, which is no big deal and that's $999 for that watch, which isn't so bad. But you could get this on sale for $650. All right, so I just wanted to add the display on the 970. Display is bright enough. I actually have it on the lowest setting. I wish I could put it lower because it's really bright. So even though they say the Fenix 9 is even brighter, you don't need it any brighter. On the data screens that you're able to see on your watch when you're running the different data screens that you can watch, you're gonna see how much better it is when you go from Apple to, let's say, a Garmin watch. So the Fenix 8 is a great watch. Pretty much this is a stripped down, not really stripped down version, just a lighter version of the Fenix 8. And what makes it lighter is that the back of this watch has a plastic resin. Very strong, it's not gonna break or anything like that. The back of the Fenix 8 has metal, all right, which makes it a heavier watch. So if you're a runner and you want to feel like you have the lightest, most powerful watch in your hand, I think the Garmin Forerunner 970 is the way to go. Also, in cold weather, you don't feel, this doesn't get cold on you, but the metal, when it's really cold on your wrist, you're going to feel that metal get cold and you're going to feel that on your wrist. So those are my thoughts on the comparison between the Fenix 8 and the 970. Let's justify the price of buying this watch. Okay, so if you're thinking about buying this watch, then you should buy this watch, and I'm going to explain to you why. And we'll justify the price right now. The average person who does road races spends about $350 a year on sneakers alone. You know this to be true, and you probably might even spend more than that. All right, so think about this. This watch is going to last you at least 5 years. At least 5 years. So $350 times 5 years. That's $1,750 that you're spending on sneakers. And you know how this is. Sneakers only last about maybe a year and a year and a half because the foam on these sneakers today, they just bottom out, right? This is going to last you 5 years. So when you could justify this because the road running sneakers that you're using, you only use them when you run on the roads. This you use when you work out, when you swim, when you bike. Everything that you could possibly think of when it comes to training and fitness, you can do with this. And then the sleep metrics and everything else you're getting with this, the pulse, oxygen sensor and everything, it's just totally worth it to buy this watch. I justified it this way. I had a gym membership and I was spending $30 a month plus an $80 annual fee. So I didn't go to the gym that much because I'd rather work outdoors. So what I did was I cut out the membership. That membership was costing me $450 a year. All right. And if you don't do that, think about coffee, right? Let's say you buy coffee every day. You know it costs about $3 in coffee, but let's say you make your own coffee at home. So let's say you're saving $2 a day. That's $2 a day. That's $10 a week. That's $520 a year. So now, the one negative thing I have to say about the Garmin watch, and it's not only about this watch, it's just Garmin ecosystem in general, has to be the maps. All right. What you think you're going to get with the maps and what you get are two different things. If you preload the maps into the Garmin, it works much better. It still works if you don't. But what happens is if you're running on a trail and you get lost and you need to reroute, anybody who has a Garmin watch and has done this function before will tell you the rerouting function pretty much doesn't work. It hasn't worked for me. It gets stuck on routing. For me, what I have to do is I always carry my phone with me, right? And I have All Trails, the app. For $39 a year, I use All Trails. Now, All Trails will give you features on mapping that make the Garmin mapping system look extremely prehistoric. It's pretty bad. And so even when you finish doing a workout, a run on a trail, right? And you say, okay, let me look at my workout on the trail. When you go into the Garmin app, it looks one way. You don't get to see the other routes, the other trails you could have taken. However, when you use the All Trails app, you could zoom in, see which different routes and trails you could have taken, see which, maybe the next time you go out, you could try a different route. It's just much easier with the All Trails app than it is with Garmin. If Garmin and All Trails were to combine forces and put it into the watch, it would be amazing. Like the new watch, the Garmin Fenix 9 is saying, well, the courses are loading much faster. It doesn't matter how fast they load if they don't have the details that you need. You can use it to navigate when you're running, but it's not as good and as clear as having it on your phone. Your phone is more powerful. I would say that's what the phone is for. We're not at that point with the Garmin watches, at least with this one. I don't know, the Fenix 9 just came out today, where you can say, okay, I'll use my Garmin watch to get me back to my destination or to figure out a different route. I don't think we're there yet with the Garmin watch, in my opinion. My next review is going to be on Ultra Experience Wild 3, the trail running shoes. I just got them in. I'm over here in Lake Placid at a campground, and I'll have a review in a few days on on those sneakers and see if they work. Enjoy your training, enjoy your races, and make sure to enjoy every second of your life. Have a good one.